Hey, Eagles fans, if you're a subscriber to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, you are already registered to win a pair of season tickets for the upcoming season. That's right, you could win a pair of season tickets for the upcoming 2021 season just for being a subscriber. If you're watching and you're not a subscriber, do it now. Subscribe to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel right now. What do you need to do? Subscribe right now.
Birds 365 here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, which, by the way, Thursday, right? Tomorrow's a big day. If you have not yet subscribed to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, you're watching us live now in the morning hours when we do the show for you to pick up as we're doing it, or if you're watching it a little later in the day, whenever you happen to be viewing us. If you haven't subscribed yet to the JAKIB Media YouTube
Here we
channel,
go. We're going to
What are you doing? What is your problem? You got to be an Eagle fan if you're watching McDonald and McMullen. You're here for Birds 365. We're trying to give you Eagle season tickets. If you subscribe, you are immediately eligible. And on Friday, we'll have the big giveaway on the air here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Your chance to go to the Eagles on us. All 8 home games this year, including this Sunday against the 49ers. Why would you not? It doesn't cost you diddly squat. Yeah. Just subscribe, and then you're in. I already bought my tickets for Powerball for $400 million. The odds are better here. I got less of a chance to win Powerball than you do the Eagles season tickets. So don't be a knucklehead. Subscribe to the channel and then be tuned on Friday tomorrow.
And by the way, Jody, live tonight, we got another prize. Live. We got a live show at Screwballs in King of Prussia. It's the countdown to kick off Thursday night crew. And that's going to be the post-game crew on 6abc.com, JAKIB Media. You got Derek Gunn, Mark Barzetta, Devin Caney, and they're giving away a free trip to Las Vegas. You can register, not giving it away. So I want to make that clear. But we're giving away a trip to the Raiders game. So that's exciting as well.
Very cool.
Screwballs, King of Prussia.
Screwballs? Have you ever been?
I have never been.
Nor have I.
I've never been.
But it sounds
I'm
like my kind of.
You haven't done a live remote.
Right. Sounds like my kind of place. I'm kind of disappointed, if not ticked off, that I've never been to Screwballs before. But that's my problem and my fault. All right. Speaking of being a little bit of a screwball, if you saw this coming, I would have said stop looking through the eagle-colored glasses. But the world is coming apart around the Philadelphia Eagles. Teams are having issues all across the National Football League. And compare them to the issues the Eagles are having, they're mounting in other places, whereas they're not here. Dallas Cowboys, you talked about it in our last segment, lose their number one pass rusher, DeMarcus Lawrence. Michael Gallup, who, yes, we know that Amari Cooper and C.D. Lamb get all the coverage down there in Dallas because Cooper was a high draft pick who they paid a lot of money to keep in town. C.D. Lamb, first-round draft pick. Michael Gallup doesn't have as big a pedigree as those two guys. He's damn good and important receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. He went to IR. Lyle Collins suspension early on that we assume is performance-enhancing related, but it was 5 games rather than 6, which that suspension is usually 6. So we don't even know why Collins got suspended, but he's out for 5 games. Cowboys having major issues right out of the gate, and you're right, losing him in practice kind of sucks. It's one thing to get hurt in the game, but Lawrence broke his foot in practice, and now he's going to be out for an extended period of time. Ryan Fitzpatrick, think what you may of Fitzpatrick, Fitztragic, Fitzmagic. We know he's all those things, but we'll see what Taylor Heineke is tonight against the Giants. Somebody's got to win that game. Somebody's got to lose that game. The Giants haven't been racked by injuries yet. The Giants just didn't look real good against the Denver Broncos. I watched a lot of that game after the Eagle game was over and done with, and their offense, Daniel Jones just isn't I would bet good money on Jalen Hurts being more of a franchise quarterback going forward than Daniel Jones. One was picked fifth pick in the draft. One was picked middle of the second round. Give me the guy who was picked middle in the second round. I don't like the Giants quarterback going forward. Are things lining up for the Philadelphia Eagles? Do they have the football gods on their side one game into this season, John McMullen?
Well, they do. I mean, everything is coming up Eagles in week 1. The problem is week 2 is coming. So, stuff. And Nick Sirianni, one of his T-shirt phrases this week was round 1 versus round 2. If you're feeling too good about yourself after having a great round 1, you're liable to come off the chair and get knocked out in round 2. So you got to keep it. You got to sustain it. And that's the theme of this show, sustainable. I don't know if it's sustainable, but I do know the rest of the division doesn't look good. Jason Garrett's getting killed this week. You're right about Daniel Jones. He's not playing well, but we talk about Nick Sirianni scheming up Jalen Hurts. Daniel Jones isn't getting any help from his offensive coordinator. Ryan Fitzpatrick, people often say, because Ryan has been around for so long, that's one of my favorite NFL jokes. What's your favorite bridge? Golden Gate, Brooklyn, or Ryan Fitzpatrick? He's been that bridge quarterback for years and years and years and years, so nobody takes him seriously. And they say, well, Taylor Heineke played well against Tampa Bay in the playoffs. Yeah, he was also back in college in December going for his engineering degree because nobody wanted him. I wouldn't, again, you can't overreact to one game. To have a guy like that try to play the majority of the season, I don't think that's going to work out well. And the Cowboys are just the Cowboys. So always about the Cowboys. You mentioned Lyle Collins. We do know he missed his substance abuse test. He missed them. He didn't fail. He just didn't show up to take them. And he gets suspended 5 games. So, the Cowboys are a mess. And we talk about the good of Jerry Jones, which is on the business side. The bad of Jerry Jones is he shouldn't be a general manager in the National Football League. That whole structure and that organization has been a disaster for years and years and years. And the Eagles are the recipient of it all because everything is humming along smoothly in Philadelphia.
There's one place where I don't know that you said, but you stated it, but you didn't say it was your opinion. Jason Garrett, Giants offensive coordinator, Giants offensive line, Daniel Jones. Which one is having more of an adverse effect on the other?
It's always the players, I think.
I would say the quarterback and the really sieve-like offensive line is making Jason Garrett's life that much more difficult than Jason Garrett's ineptitude are making the Giants players' life more difficult. If you're just stating that others are saying Jason Garrett is not getting the job done.
Jason Garrett's getting killed. But Jason, it's always about the players. That's what I liked about it. It's always about the players first. I constantly talk about offensive line. There are certain teams, the Giants are one of them. The Jets are one of them. They can't find offensive linemen to save their lives. They draft them at the top of the draft. They can't develop them. It's amazing. And that's what I was talking about yesterday when Jeff Kerr was on the show. The Eagles develop offensive linemen. You got to give a lot of credit to Jeff Stoutland. It doesn't end when you draft somebody. It doesn't end. And ironically, the one guy the Eagles haven't been able to get up to speed is the one they drafted the highest, and that's Andre Dillard. Recently, they've been able to get my lot up to speed. Isaac Seumalo up to speed was a 3rd-round pick. They've been able to turn these guys into good players. Even Nate Herbig, people like that has been competent. They've been able to do this. There are certain teams in this league, they take first-round picks. It doesn't matter what they do. They can't find and develop offensive linemen. And it's when you can't block people offensively, you're done. You're cooked. It's over. There's nothing you can do. If you can't block anybody, it's over for you.
And I remember 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years, whenever it was, taking a lot of beating up on Eli Manning calls in New York when I'm on the Fan up in NYC. And I'd say, listen, I'm watching the Giants on tape. no one could survive behind the Giants' offensive line. What are you picking on Eli for? Now, people think I hate Eli Manning because I say I don't think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I'm with you. He's
that I'm just an Eli hater. I'm defending Eli week after week because the people are calling and saying Eli stinks, and I'm going, wait a minute. Are you watching the offensive line play in front of him? The guy is dead water.
Yeah, I get those same people. He stinks, but he's a Hall of Famer. One or the other. Yeah, he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's not an insult.
Pick a lane and stay in it.
Yeah. He was. I always compared him to a streak shooter. He got on a couple high. He's very much like had a much more storied career, but much like what Nick Foles did in the Eagles run. He was a streak shooter. It's Benny Johnson. You know, when they get hot, you can't stop them. And he had 2 great runs. But it's interesting. If you look about the Giants teams that were good, that did make the runs, they had a good offensive line. Yeah. They had a good defensive line, more importantly. But they had a good offensive line. When you can't block people in this league and watch, you know, this is the brilliance of Russell Wilson, because he was the exception that proved the rule. Because the one thing Seattle couldn't get right early in their career with Russell Wilson was building that offensive line, and he just overcame it. It's very, very rare. It's very rare, and you better have the ability to move around and move the pocket like a Russell Wilson, and that's difficult to find.
All right, JM, and we're going to have Jeff Mosher, who unfortunately spells his name with a G. Otherwise, we'd have triple JMs, and we'll bust his chops about that again. A couple of times we've had him on, I busted him chops both times, and I'll do it again when he joins us next. Who are we rooting for tonight? Washington football team or the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football?
Somebody's got to win. I guess you root for a tie. We can get a tie.
No, only the Eagles can tie. No one else ties in the National Football League but the Eagles.
I would root for, if I was an Eagles fan, I would root for the Giants, because I don't think the Giants – I think Washington has – you know, their defense is really talented. I think they have the best roster in the division. So if they can figure things out at the quarterback position, if Taylor Heineke is better than I think he is, they could do some things. They could be more dangerous to you down the road, I think, than the New York Giants. I think the Giants are just a disaster.
And much like tonight being just one game, the Eagles win on Sunday against Falcons being just one game, trying to keep it in the proper perspective. Who do you think's going to have the better game tonight? Danny Dimes or pass me another Heineke?
Well, I just said they couldn't block, and they're facing maybe the best defensive front in football. So I'm going to go Taylor Heineke.
So am I. And it's more of a statement about Daniel Jones than it is about Taylor Heineke. I'm sorry, I just don't like the kid. And maybe it's because I do shows in New York, and I have to listen to Giant fans tell me that he's going to be a great quarterback and he was worth the 5th pick in the draft, and it's just a matter of time. No, I've seen him play enough games now. He's not good. He doesn't have that great arm strength. We saw him last year here in Philadelphia trip over the 10-yard line, go down on an uncontested play when he should have got into the end zone. This past week, he padded his stats late in the game when they're down by 3 touchdowns. He scores a touchdown on the very last play of the game. He takes it in from about 9 yards out. So even his stats are misleading. I just don't think the guy is a franchise quarterback in this league. And you're right, he's up against it tonight, because even though the Redskins got beat, the Washington football team got beat week number 1. Their defense is still one of the better units in the National Football League, and I think they're going to make one last question. I know we got to get to Jeff Mosher. What kind of crowd they going to get in D.C. tonight?
Ooh,
we're talking about an unquestioned sellout at Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday to the rim.
When you got to worry about sewage falling on you, it's always you got to rethink if you want to show up to the game. Did you see that, Jody?
No. What do you?
They had an open pipe falling on the fans. They claimed it was rainwater, but people thought it was sewage. That place is a dump. Is that where the game is? Where's the game?
Yeah, game's in Washington.
Did they have 2 games in a row? Did they open up at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had the sewage pipe burst in week 1. Yeah, check that out in the break. It was an ugly situation.
Yeah,
that is potentially the worst field in the NFL. So, I mean, there's a lot of hype in Washington. So normally I would say it would be a sellout because people think they're going to be a playoff team. I think there's more excitement around that team than there has been in years. But I do think the sewage pipe will affect things.
I went to one game at that stadium with a friend, not as a member of the media. I've never covered a game as a member of the media, but we did go down and see it. And my buddy got free tickets. When I say literally, we were in the last row of the stadium. We were in the last row. Now pretty close to the 40-yard line. They were middle of the field, which was nice. Got a nice perspective. But we were in the next to last row at the very top of the stadium. Man, is that stadium built on an incline. I was dog tired by the time we got to our seats. Just walking up those stairs was like killer. It's like from a viewing perspective, it's actually not bad because you're kind of like hanging over the field more than in some other stadiums, which are spread out. But damn, you go straight up to the top of that. We were up high. I thought I was going to get a nosebleed coming back down. But you're right. It's just a bad stadium.
It is.
Daniel Snyder.
And, I was just in Atlanta this weekend, obviously. I mean, that thing is unbelievable in a city that doesn't give two you-know-whats about their football team. There's probably 10,000 empty seats. But, yeah, you see these new stadiums. Los Angeles, where the Super Bowl is going to be, Allegiant Stadium, and then you get FedEx Field.
Yeah, there's some good and some bad in the stadiums in the National Football League. All right, John McMullen, Jody McDonald coming back. We'll be joined by a GM, not Howie Roseman. No, that would be Jeff Mosher. He's going to join us next here on Birds